Mr. Chair, we're now live streaming on YouTube.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Richmond Hill. Would ask that we would start this evening's meeting with the reading of the preamble, please.
Today's Committee of Adjustment meeting is hereby held as an electronic meeting. The Committee of Adjustment for the City of Richmond Hill has been appointed by Council to consider applications for minor variance and consent in accordance with the Planning Act. The committee's decision may be appealed to the Ontario Land Tribunal. All appeals and associated fees must be filed directly with the Treasurer in accordance with the Planning Act. To be notified of an Ontario hearing, you must request a copy of the committee's decision in writing. Written comments. The public may submit written correspondence regarding agenda matters by email to committeeofadjustment@richmondhill.ca. All written correspondence received by 4:30 p.m. today has been provided to the committee members electronically. Electronic delegations. Delegates are reminded to please mute your microphone or phone and turn off video until it's your turn to speak. Please make sure your microphone is not muted when you begin speaking. If members do not have questions or after all questions have been asked, your delegation is over. Please sign off of Zoom or hang up the phone once the committee has made a decision on your application. And you can watch the rest of the meeting on our live stream, and the clerk may remove any delegate who does not sign off of Zoom.
Thank you. Our Secretary Treasurer is Mrs. Jamie Hope Herman. Our Assistant Secretary Treasurer is Ms. Linda Sekas. And assisting us this evening from our Planning Department is Ms. Catherine Faria. Do you have any conflicts of interest this evening, gentlemen? I see none. And do we have any requests for adjournment or withdrawals from our meeting tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have none.
Very good. And we'll move on to our first application. Our first application is application A036/21 at 53 Thomas Legge Crescent. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Dear Mr. Chair, we have none.
And our applicant.
Hello, here.
Hello.
I'm here, Josh Kilbine.
Yes, go ahead.
I don't have anything to say.
Oh, well, that's a little unusual for us. You don't want to just sort of do a quick review of your application so that people listening can know what you're presenting?
Okay, yeah, I assumed that it was read and understood, but we have a swimming pool that we're looking to encroach on the setbacks by a very small amount, and then as well a outdoor change room that is too close to the side flankage yard, and we're requesting that we can leave it as is. It's already existing to the encroached setbacks.
Very good, thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 53 Thomas Legge Crescent?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And do we have any further comments from our planning department?
Here, Mr. Chair, no further comment.
Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? I see, oh, Mr. Master.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just a quick clarification. Does the existing pool currently not comply? Is that what we're seeking these variances for? I just want clarification.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
Yeah. No, I'm pretty good.
Gentlemen, I will entertain a motion. Mr. Master.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that application number A036/21 located at 53 Thomas Ledge Crescent be approved with conditions contained therein.
Moved by member Master, seconded by member Cossey. All in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next application is application A053/22 at 66 Palmer Avenue. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Through Mr. Chair, we do not.
And our applicant.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I'm Joe Battaglia, the architect. And I've read the staff report, and I believe that these variances that we're asking for are minor in nature in accordance with the Planning Act and meet the 4 tests. So unless there are any questions, I would ask the committee approve our application.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 66 Palmer Avenue?
Through Mr. Chair, we have none.
And do we have any further comments from our planning department?
Here, Mr. Chair, no further comment.
Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, just a question to staff on page 2 of the staff report at the top. The minimum lot frontage for the property is 160 meters. I am assuming that's an error.
Wow, that is big.
Is it 15? Is it 16? Any idea?
It should be on the plan, on the survey, sorry.
No, I'm talking about the zoning bylaw, not what the lot is, what the minimum lot frontage is in the bylaw.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the specific bylaw requirement in front of me, but yes, that would appear to be a typo.
Like shifting it by 1 decimal point, through you, Mr. Chair.
It would be nice to
Well,
know.
I'm going to suggest to you that I don't see a variance to minimum lot frontage. So whatever it is, we're not seeking a variance from it, correct?
It's not an issue for this particular case.
So it's really not an issue for this. It certainly is something that should be corrected in the final report, though. Any further questions or comments? In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Gossi.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to raise a motion to approve agenda item B, minor variance application A053/22 at 66 Palmer Avenue, subject the conditions in the staff report and subject the modification of the minimum lot frontage on the bylaw to be fixed in accordance with actually what is in the bylaw.
Moved by member Gossi, seconded by member Duretzi. All in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next application is application A054/22 at 67 Lake Avenue. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we received a letter of rejection from the Sunset Beach neighbors received October 18th, 2022.
Thank you. And our applicant.
Afternoon, Mr. Chair. Jonathan Bitskowski.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. Sorry, I've been doing this since 9:30. So sorry.
That's okay. I messed up too.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So, sir, the proposal before you today is for a new 2-story dwelling. I'm happy to run through a presentation if the panel and the committee wishes me to do so.
Since we have an objection, I think it would be a very good idea.
Absolutely. I'm just going to share my screen.
That's something our secretary treasurer may have to do with you.
Through Mr. Chair, Jonathan, unfortunately, you don't have the share capabilities. Is it something in the staff report we can?
If you could just bring up the site plan even, the site plan would work, Ms.
Yeah,
Hope.
absolutely. Just give us a moment, okay?
Perfect. And while Ms. Hope's doing that, I'd like to just address a couple of the issues. Again, the minimum lot frontage, this is an existing lot of record. This is not a consent application. In terms of the variances, the variances I'd like to address first while Ms. Hope is bringing up the site plan is the cabana itself is being proposed at the rear of the property. These are deep lots. So in terms of the impact of the increase in height, as well as the increase of coverage from the proposed cabana, would have very little adverse impact on the adjoining neighbors, as it is located at the rear of the existing property. So in terms of the separation between the dwelling itself and the actual rear portion, yes, thank you, Mrs. Hope. So if we see here at the rear, that's where the cabana is being proposed, which is at the rear of the property. In terms of the proposal for the dwelling, the increase of coverage is as a result of two things. The dwelling itself is actually below the 20% requirement. What's causing the increase in coverage is an open air pergola that is at the rear of the property. That open air pergola, because of the change of grade of the property, actually only sits essentially about 4 meters above grade. So the impact on those adjacent neighbors to both the east and the west is minimized by that open air pergola. In addition to, as we can see here, the existing house to the west is actually built considerably behind the proposal that is before you today. And then I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 67 Lake Avenue?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And do we have any further comments from our planning department?
Mr. Chair, no further comment.
Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? I see none. In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I would move that the minor variance application A054/22 at 67 Lake Avenue be approved, subject to the terms and conditions in the city's staff report.
Moved by member Duretzi, seconded by member Master. All in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much. Thank you. Our next application is application A055/22 at 114 Hidden Trail Avenue. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Mr. Chair, we do not.
And our applicant.
Yeah, hi, it's Andrew Keller. Yeah, we'd like to reduce the minimum rear yard setback to the deck. It's, I guess the bylaw right now is 7.5 meters, and we like to accommodate a proposed upper and lower deck, and the proposed distance or setback would be 4.34 meters. So we'd like to accommodate it for a hot tub that we'd like to have in the backyard and access the hot tub using the lower deck. And the upper deck is used for exiting the house, and we have a little spot on the deck for just a table and chair. And the lower deck is approximately 30 inches in height, and the upper deck is about, I guess it's about 4.5 feet high. And I guess that's it.
Okay. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 114 Hidden Trail Avenue?
Through Mr. Chair, we have none.
And do we have any further comments from our planning department?
Mr. Chair, no further comment.
And gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? I see none. In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Gossi.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to raise a motion to approve item D, minor variance application A055/22 at 114 Hidden Trail, subject to terms and conditions in the staff report.
Moved by member Grassi, seconded by member Master. All in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much. Our next application is application A057/22 at 165 Lenox Avenue. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Through Mr. Chair, we have a letter of objection from 173 Lenox Avenue received October 17th, 2022.
Thank you. And our applicant.
Hi, good evening. So for the variances, we want to reduce the side yard setback from 2.11 meter to 2 meter. Minimum, another side yard, same, 2.11 meter to 2 meters. And the maximum floor space from 265 square meters to 348 square meters, and the maximum height from 8.5 meters to 10 meters. So especially the height is actually, we didn't increase the building height. The reason we have to apply this variance is because the roof construction is, they make the wrong roof truss, so there's no slope above the top of roof. Before it has a 1 to 12 slope up, so the building height is calculated from the top, from the middle point of the roof slope to the ground. Now it's actually only 2% roof slope, so the building height has to be recalculated from the top of the roof to the ground. That's why the building height is has to have a variance from 8.5 to 10 meters. But in reality, our building is lower than design because the slope is lower. So it's just a calculation difference. It's not actually the building is higher. So that's explain why we have so much higher variances of the height. I think that's it. The reason we increase the side yard setback is because we changed the wall material from stucco to brick. So we have to increase a little bit of the thick of the wall, so reduce the side yard setback. And the gross floor area is because we cover the open space in the second floor. So we have more usable space on the second floor. That's why we have more gross floor area. Okay, so that's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 165 Lenox Avenue?
Through Mr. Chair, we have none.
And do we have any further comments from our planning department?
Mr. Chair, no further comment.
Before I let you go, I just do have a question for you, though. I was listening to the explanation for the building height, but it seems to me that building height could have been a lot higher if they had changed the slope of the roof. It seems to me they have done their best to accommodate or to keep the height as low as possible by choosing the slope and the style of roof that they did. So I'm not sure of the explanation, but if we're happy with that roof, or if you're happy with that roof, that's what I'd like to hear from you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, as noted in the staff report, it is noted that relief is required with respect to height, but staff has determined that the massing, that there are no concerns with respect to the massing, and it's compatible with the character of the area.
Very good, thank you. Gentlemen, any questions, concerns, comments? Mr. Master?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I totally understand the setbacks and the roof issues. For the area, it's almost a 900 square foot variance. And as I understood, it was a second floor deck that has been converted in a bedroom. I just need clarification of that. Is that the change that was made after the building permit was obtained and the construction started? Could the applicant please clarify that through you, Mr. Chair?
The building was permitted in 2016, and the previous owner sold the unfinished house to the current owner. So the new owner don't like the big open space over the family room, and only have 3 bedrooms upstairs. So when they bought the house, the new owner would like to use more bedroom space upstairs. That's why they made the application.
It just seems like a lot of area that was open before. Anyway, thank you. I'm good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions, concerns? In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Master?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that variance application A057/22 located at 165 Lenox, am I quoting the right one? Yes. 165 Lenox Avenue be approved with all the conditions contained therein.
Moved by Member Master, seconded by Member Duretzi. All in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next applications, 3, located at 205 Mill Street, application B025/22 and A059/22 and A060/22. Do we have any additional correspondence on these applications?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we have 2 letters of objection that were received October 19th, 2022. 204 Mill Street, 101 Libby Boulevard, 191 Mill Street. And the last letter of objection was from 194 Mill Street, and that was received October 20th, 2022.
Thank you. And our applicant.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Joanna Fast. I'm a planner with Evans Planning, and I'm here tonight on behalf of the owner of the property. Could I ask staff to bring up my presentation, please? And if you could move on to the next slide. Thank you. So this slide shows the site context. The property is outlined in red. The property is located in the Mill Pond neighborhood. This area is also known as the Village Core. You can see from the parcel mapping that the neighborhood is comprised mainly of single detached lots, and it has a variety of lot sizes. Next slide, please. We're proposing to sever the property at 205 Mill Street, roughly in half, to create 1 additional lot. Through this process, a small road widening and daylight triangle along Mill Street will also be conveyed to the city. We are proposing lots with frontages of 15.24 and 16.05 meters, which conform to the zoning bylaw standard. The lot areas proposed of 406 square meters and 400 square meters are less than the R2 zone standard of 464 square meters. And as such, we require minor variances to recognize the reduced lot areas for each lot. Next slide, please. The Village Core neighborhood design guidelines were approved by council, and they had the objective of allowing new construction within the study area. And it also recognized that new development would enhance the unique character of the neighborhood. The guidelines provide a number of design recommendations that apply to infill development with respect to building design, colors, lot relationships, and landscaping. The guidelines recognize that there's an existing variation in lot sizes and frontages, as well as a diversity of yard setbacks and building heights, and that all makes up the unique character of this neighborhood. This figure is taken directly from the Village Core Design Guidelines and shows the variation of lot sizes in the area. You can see that there's a lot of variation of lot sizes in the area. The subject property is shown in a green color, which represents lots 6,001 to 10,000 square feet in size. So once severed, the lots that we're proposing will be roughly 400 square meters, or just over 4,300 square feet in size, and would fall into the mustardy yellow colored category. Next slide, please. This next slide shows lot frontages in the area. The lot at 205 Mill Street is one of the larger lots, shown in the dark blue. And once severed, will be in the lighter blue category. Again, we're not proposing any variances for lot frontage, but this map is helpful in showing the mixture of frontages in the area. Next slide, please. My last slide shows recently constructed houses at 98 and 100 Mill Street. These were created by consent through approval of the Committee of Adjustment in 2018. These two lots just down the street from the subject property are roughly 60 square meters smaller than what is being proposed at 205 Mill Street. They were also subject to site plan approval for the two new homes, which were required to meet the requirements of the Village Core Neighborhood Design Guidelines. Now, I believe that these are attractive houses that are compatible with the neighborhood. And you can see that they were able to retain large trees during the construction of these houses. My client has not yet fully designed the houses for the new lots at 205 Mill Street, but will be subject to the same site plan approval process, which will require any new buildings on the lots to be designed to be a good fit within the neighborhood. So this evening, we're only looking at the consent and minor variance applications to create the lots with lot sizes, which I believe will be compatible with the larger neighborhood. We note the staff report indicates that planning staff conducted a thorough review of the applications in the neighborhood, as well as they looked at the pattern of lot sizes in the area and concluded that the proposal is appropriate and meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act. So this brings me to the end of my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that the committee or the public might have.
Does anyone in the audience wish to address these applications at 205 Mill Street?
I would.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the resident of 65 Bridgeport.
Good evening. My name is John Sloan.
Good
I
evening,
have 2 objections to this variance. One is technical and the other is what I'd call community and suitability. So this house is currently not an owner-occupied home and has been used as a rental property for the last, I would say, at least 5 years. And that rental property has caused significant disruption to our neighborhood. We've had a drug dealer who's had rented that house and dealt drugs out of his driveway sitting in a lawn chair. The police have been called on several occasions to deal with disruptions. And I can only assume that when the owner of the property severs it into 2 properties, they still have no intention of living there as a primary residence. So we will have 2 rental properties in the neighborhood, which I personally would be very unhappy with. The second objection I have is just a technical objection. What the variance is looking for is approximately a 15% reduction in the area of the lot that's required on those properties. And I think that is much too large a variance to provide in that lot. This lot is actually quite a significant lot in the Mill Pond area of town. It's at the northwest intersection of Bridgeport and Mill Street. It is a significant throughway in the Mill Street area. And I would not be happy, quite frankly, if this variance was approved. And I understand from what the young lady, Ms. Hope, said earlier on, that you've also had letters to support the objection. And I have no idea what they're going to address in their objection, but I would not be happy with this variance. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Does anyone else in the audience wish to address these applications at 205 Mill Street?
Through Mr. Chair, we do not.
And do we have any further comments from our planning department?
Through Mr. Chair, no further comment.
Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, just wanted to make some comments here. First and foremost, just wanted to thank the residents in the area for their letters. Very much appreciate that. In one of the letters, there was a comment regarding traffic. Mill Street is very much a busy street. There is a lot of traffic zipping along there. It seems to be a sort of a bypass to get out to Bathurst. Libby, on the other hand, is not as busy. And I note that the previous home fronted on the Mill Street, and these two lots that are being proposed, the driveways will come out to Libby. So I think that's an improvement. So we get some driveways off of Mill Street. So I like that. One of the other comments was the fact that the corner house, when it's built, is going to be much closer to the road. And I do recognize that there is a daylight triangle in the corner, and there's going to be a road widening, and there will also be a side yard setback, which is typically around 3 meters. So I'm satisfied with that additional setback that will be available from the curb to the building wall. The only other comment I wanted to make was with respect to the driveways. When this does in fact get developed, we may want to keep the two driveways adjacent to one another along the common lot line. So the driveway to the north is not impacted by another driveway directly adjacent to it. So if you could keep that in mind when you're redeveloping, that would be wonderful. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions, concerns? Mr. Master.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I mean, we have typically seen this, that once the lots get severed and we don't have a layout or a site plan to look at that point, later on we get variances for either the side yard setbacks or areas or something. And I can probably expect that here too. And that doesn't make me very happy, but just letting you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? It seems to me that one of the saving graces in this matter is the fact that it is part of the Mill Pond area and that there are some fairly strict guidelines in place. So I look forward to seeing what those houses are going to look like. Gentlemen, I will entertain a motion. Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I would move that consent application B025/22 and minor variance applications A059/22 and A060/22 at 205 Mill Street be approved, subject to the terms and conditions in the city's staff reports.
Moved by member Duretzi, seconded by member Gossi. All in favor? I see 3 hands. Very good. It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night. And we will now turn this meeting back to our secretary treasurer to let us know when we can close up for this evening.
I will be right back.